You're listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
If you or your patients struggle with muscle cramps, spasms, soreness, or restless leg syndrome, you're going to want to hear about our non-opioid TheraWorks Relief. TheraWorks Relief is a clinically proven and published locally acting topical solution that prevents and relieves muscle cramps, spasms, and soreness in the legs and feet. In a research study including patients diagnosed with restless leg syndrome, TheraWorks Relief was shown to reduce symptoms commonly associated with accompanying RLS, including muscle cramps and spasms. Muscle cramps are reported as a side effect of hundreds of prescription medications, from intravenous iron sucrose and conjugated estrogens to statins and diuretics. By managing muscle cramps, TheraWorks Relief supports adherence, helping patients stay on important and often life-saving medications. TheraWorks Relief comes in an easy-to-use, fast-absorbing, non-greasy foam that can prevent muscle cramps and spasms with just a few simple applications a day. To learn more about TheraWorks Relief, go to theraworksrelief.com and click on the Healthcare Professional link.
Welcome to the Income Outcomes Show, a podcast publication part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. The Income Outcomes Show is dedicated to pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, pharmacy students, and all pharmacy professionals interested in maximizing their income and providing insights into living a financially free lifestyle.
All matters discussed during this podcast are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Waypoint Strategic Advisors, LLC, and our editorial staff. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representations as to its accuracy or completeness. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to implementation. The presence of this podcast shall in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to anyone. Waypoint Strategic Advisors, LLC is not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and are not engaged in the practice of law. Content should not be viewed as an offer to buy or sell any of the securities mentioned or as legal or tax advice. You should always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation.
And now here are your hosts of the Income Outcomes Show, Ben Coakley with Waypoint Strategic Advisors and Joe Casselman with Pharmacist Financial.
Welcome, everybody, to the Income Outcomes Show on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. We are your dynamic duo of financial advisors. Joe Casselman, say hi.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
All right, and my name is Benjamin Don Coakley.
Don, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Don. Yeah, that's pretty.
Just Don or Donald?
No, Don.
Don, okay.
Don, which is unique.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, I am the Don of financial advice. So, what can I say? I got Don as a middle name, and people are.
That's nice. I didn't know that about you, Ben. That's
Yeah, Joe. A good way to not teach your kids good financial habits is give them a middle name where they get their lunch money taken every So that's kind of what happened to me. So I'm just kidding. Kidding. Sorry, Mom and Dad. You gave me a fake name. So all right. Well, we're talking today a little bit about speculating and investing. This is part 3 of our series, and we're going to talk about real estate, Joe. But let's summarize again for people who are just speculation versus risk and speculating versus investing, and because we may have some people who didn't get a chance to listen. We do encourage you to go back and listen to the two previous podcasts before this because there's a lot of great info. So Joe, speculating versus investing, how would you describe that?
Yeah, Ben, I think investing is, there's risk involved in investing, but it's the outcomes you can plan in terms of you can kind of have a range of expected outcomes. You can do due diligence and try to figure out what the risk versus reward is within some range that's understandable. And because of that, you can use investing to plan long-term and reach your long-term goals. Speculating, however, are things that, they're risky like investments. You can do due diligence on them. The difference is the outcome is completely a wild card. It could be extremely, extremely high, which is why people do it, but you can also literally lose every single dollar. And so we see a lot of investing or things that people would consider investments that aren't speculative by nature, but they become speculative by the way the the client or the person uses it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing too much in one thing, or
Joe.
Doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate is there's a funny dichotomy about real estate.
It really is. And when we talked about doing the real estate thing, I was like, because I think, and this is my opinion, my experience talking to people, real estate, if it's done, I'm not going to say if it's done right, but it can be. The outcome of real estate can be phenomenal, okay? But I think that people just start doing real estate just like they start buying gold only because somebody else said they did it, or had success in it. And so
it's also tangible, Joe. They can see it. Tangible. They can walk in a house and walk in a building. It's kind
of like the gold. It's not as shiny, but it's there. It's a safe haven, literally shelter.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, and we were talking before the show how I was watching some movie from like 1925, and on like MeTV, because I don't have cable. That's one of my big things. If you want to save some more money, cut the cable cord. But I'm watching MeTV, and they were talking about like saving money, and someone said, I'm going to buy some real estate, and they were like, why? Well, because they're not making any more of it. And I can't tell you how many times I get people that say, hey, I'd like real estate because they're not making any more of it. And then my brother, Matt, I love him to death. We were talking about this one day, and he was talking to a guy who recommended people invest all their money in real estate, speculate in real estate, right? That's kind of what the point of this podcast is about. And my brother said, man, have you ever flown like from the East Coast to the West Coast? And he's like, yeah.
There's a lot of land out there.
There's a lot of land out there.
I'm in Texas. Texas has a lot of people, but there's still a lot of land.
It has a lot of land, right? It's just, again, it just kind of cracked me up. Now,
well, and not only that, Ben, but, I think it was actually maybe Donald Trump who did it first in New York. He wanted to buy this one corner piece of property, I think, and they wouldn't sell or whatever. So he did something where he basically bought the space above the existing building. So not only could real estate go horizontally, but you can technically go up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not limited. It's not going to run out.
Yeah. I mean, not, at least not in our lifetime. It's, again, Joe, fear and greed, man. Fear and greed. We go back to those two. Those two emotions are the things that drive us to stop making good, sound, prudent investments.
To ignore logic, yeah.
Yeah.
Prudent investment, yeah.
Yeah, Joe, what are we talking about? Ethos, pathos, logos. Ethos is the ethics. Pathos is the emotion. Logos is the logic, right? We talk about that a lot on how it's all that's got to work together when you're getting advice. But I'm telling you, man, fear and greed. I almost said pleasure, but fear and greed drive us to, and what's really important is it may not be necessarily your fear and your greed. It may be your advisor's fear, your advisor's greed. Mm-hmm. There are advisors out there that will convince you that you need to do something. Joe, in our last podcast, I referenced a particular gentleman who single-handedly bankrupted about 5 of my friends because of his advice. His advice was to speculate. He actually convinced people there's no risk in real estate.
Yeah.
And I had one of my good friends tell me there is no risk in real estate.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm looking at a mutual fund here, the Dimensional Fund's Global Real Estate Securities.
Is there any risk in it?
The volatility, a standard deviation, which measures how high, how much gain or how much loss. The bigger that number, the bigger the swings. 16.96. So there is, if you think about standard deviation, Joe, we're going to have to go back to your statistics, right? Did they teach statistics at the University of Texas?
Nope.
They didn't?
I mean, they did, yeah.
They sure as heck don't know how to play football. So, anyway, Maybe they should start using statistics to measure how far to move a football on a play. Just throwing that out there. So 2 standard deviations from the mean means that there's a 95% chance returns are going to be within those.
Yes.
Right? That's
Yes.
standard deviation, classic statistics. 3 standard deviations, Joe, is what number? 99%, right?
Yep.
If you go back, remember that?
Yes.
2 standard deviations, 95% of the returns are between negative 25%
Yeah.
and 30.29. A 55-point potential swing
Yeah.
with this global real estate asset class.
And that's volatility, and it's unique because it's a mutual fund that has a bunch of different real estate. But so the volatility, so let me ask you this, Ben.
Yeah.
Somebody might come to you and say, okay, yeah, that mutual fund, that real estate mutual fund has a lot of volatility.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's bought on the open market, et cetera, et cetera. But my physical property real estate that I own doesn't have volatility or very little. You know, what would you say to that? You know, what's the thought behind that versus the?
Well, Joe, I think the thought there is that it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to see volatility like on your house.
That's very true. Yeah,
I mean,
it kind of lags. You know.
Yeah. You know, I go to what's the website you go
Zillow?
to? Yeah, Zillow.
Yeah.
And I look at the value of your property went down $10,000 over the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6 months versus overnight.
Well, I mean, it's just kind of like okay, I have no reason I'm selling my house.
Yeah.
I have no reason to try to actually make any money on this. So who cares? It went down $10,000, right?
Yeah.
But speculating with your money, trying to hit it big, Joe, we want to hit it big.
Yeah.
We want to hit it big. So again, the global real estate securities, the reason we can see that, Joe, is we have a track record of returns. We've got a track record here. We've built out a vehicle that we can use. Now, Joe, if a client came to me and said, I'm going to put all my money in this fund, now you're speculating in that fund, that global real estate. Even though you're diversifying over thousands of properties, you're still making a bet that particular type of investment, Joe, that's just as much speculative as putting all your money in oil wells.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's interesting, what you just brought up, and because we've been talking part of the overall theme with all this is, the allocate, which is, how do you spread around all your investable assets? And, I remember doing research and learning about how when you add small proper amounts of stuff that's more volatile, like precious metals, or adding real estate as part of your overall portfolio, if it's done the proper amount, it does actually reduce risk over long term and increase return. But that's not speculating. What you just said a second ago is if you put all the money in that, that's when it becomes speculating.
Yeah, Joe, and that's just modern portfolio theory, right?
Yeah.
That's modern.
So, yeah. Well, not very modern, but yeah.
Well,
but the theory still holds true. It's
a
long time ago.
Yeah, they discovered these core principles a long time ago. But I'm looking at one of my real estate. I'm just going to throw it out there, guys. I own real estate. I own investment properties. I don't have all my money in there. I'm not banking that real estate is going to be the savior, and I'm gonna be the one who hits it big in real estate. There are guys who do that. We have a realtor in the Charleston, South Carolina area. He put all his money in real estate. He lives in the biggest house in town now. Yeah. Again, but then my father, he invested in other diversified portfolio, and he's going to have a great retirement himself. So Joe, again, the thought process for me when I look at building a strategy is taking pieces and putting them together into an overall strategy designed to help me, but not to overweight myself in a particular asset class like real estate. And that's where I think we get ourselves in trouble, because we end up and I'm going to pick on the gentleman we talked about in the last podcast. This particular guy who may or may not have had a rich dad and a poor dad, he was telling everybody to pull out. And I actually went to one of his events. This is how I know this. Yeah. He was telling everybody to leverage all the equity in their houses and buy more properties.
Yeah.
I had one of my friends, he owned 12 pieces of real estate and he had zero equity in any of them.
He really didn't own anything.
Yeah. I mean, imagine, Joe, you have $1.5 million on your asset side and $1.5 million on your liability side.
Yeah.
What?
And maybe there's income coming in, but probably he's not saving that or investing that income. You know, he's not using it to pay down the mortgage.
Yeah. No, Joe.
Yeah.
Lunacy.
Yeah.
Is what that is. It's absolutely reckless advice that people bought into. He got destroyed. He lost his ability to work. He could not physically work. He had to file bankruptcy, and part of his job required him to not have a bankruptcy on his credit report. Mm-hmm. Destroyed this guy's life. He made that decision to do it. You know, I was trying to give him some good solid advice, like, hey, you may not want to do this. Maybe do it one, maybe do two.
Or it makes me think of the last podcast, the story of the jeweler, when we're talking about precious metals.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the over leverage. It's if you own 12 properties and they're fully maxed, that's
your margin of error is so small.
Yeah, that's like
one domino falls the wrong way.
Yep,
and you're toast.
Yeah, but you could own 12 properties and not be fully leveraged, or have other assets in balance with that. I mean, so yeah, it's not the investment that's speculative. It's that you become speculative with it.
That's exactly right. And how you use it.
Yeah, and it's the emotions and all that.
It's the real estate. It's never going to go down, Joe. They're not making any more of it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You didn't realize that?
Yeah.
Let's go put all our money in real estate. I mean, it's just like we have to know who we are. We got to know that we're going to get caught up in these things. This is human nature.
Yeah.
Human nature.
That's what it comes back to. Like we said last time, if you just save and invest and outpace everything, I think the real estate thing, yes, there are a lot of people that have made a lot of money off of it.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people assume it's going to be the kind of the quicker way, or they can, and that's the speculative aspect. Again, it comes back to the human nature, that mentality. Is your approach that you're trying to get rich quick overnight, or do you have a real long-term plan?
Yeah, Joe. And that's the most important thing, is having an investment plan that utilizes real estate as part of, as we know, we talk about bucket list.
Yeah.
As one of the buckets.
Yes.
Amongst a strategy that it has multiple buckets can be a good thing. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, like I said, I use real estate. I like real estate. I do. I really like it. I own numerous rental properties, but I don't
like being a landlord.
Joe, that's another animal there for another podcast. Do I want to be a landlord? That's a whole nother animal to address. Maybe we'll do a future podcast about that. So, Joe, so the advice out there, it may not be your beliefs, but people are really good at convincing you that certain things are going to be a certain way. Mm-hmm. And it's all designed. Joe, remind me again, Joe, when someone convinces somebody to speculate on somewhere, are they doing it with their money, or are they doing it with the other person's money?
Yeah, the person's money, for sure.
Exactly. They're not putting their money at risk. You're putting your money at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Joe, let me ask you a question. This is another thing that's really important here. Human nature, right?
Yeah.
Joe, now, if you tell me that you don't do this, I'm gonna call you a name that I shouldn't call anybody. Have you ever gone to lunch with somebody and you knew that they were going to pay?
Yes.
Does that change your order?
Oh, absolutely. Well, yes, of course it does.
Do you order the tea instead of the water like you normally do?
Yeah.
Joe, it's human nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for me to tell you what you need to do with your money because it's your money. Joe, exactly. You need to put all your money in real estate. I mean, come on. I have nothing to lose. You got everything to lose. It's very similar when you go to lunch. You know, somebody's buying you buy maybe the one that's $5, the meal that's $5 more, because it's not your money.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on. So we know this stuff. We know it's human nature to do these things. And Joe, you almost told me you didn't do that, and I was going to come to Texas and kick you in the
all I was going to say
fanny.
Was there's certain people like my grandma that I wouldn't, but that's more out of politeness versus, But yeah, anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, your audio cut out there a little bit. Say that again. We're talking to your mic.
Okay. Yeah, ask me the question. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, what I meant, Ben, was that there are certain people that I wouldn't do that with. Like, for example, my grandma. I wouldn't order the tea and the steak because it's more about politeness, not because of the money aspect. But absolutely. Anybody else? Yeah, hands down.
Yeah,
especially
Joe,
if they tell me they're going to buy.
Yeah. If you know, yeah, no doubt, man.
If you don't know they're going to buy, that's the tricky part.
Yeah, that's why you don't ever disclose if you're going to buy. That's why you never tell anybody. If you're buying, you definitely don't tell anybody because then they're going to order the most expensive thing on the menu.
Yeah.
So Joe, let's kind of wrap this up again. So people can understand that real estate can be a speculative asset. There are a lot of people. We didn't even talk about vacant land and commercial properties. I mean, there's so many different ways to dump a bunch of money and over leverage yourself into all this stuff. Tell me again, Joe, how if they have a question for you or they don't know if they're speculating or if they're investing, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, Ben, they can reach out to me. Give me a text, 512-294-7046, or email joe@pharmacistfinancial.com, and also the website, pharmacistfinancial.com.
Yeah, we've got a new website coming, Joe. We're super psyched about that. You can also reach me, Ben, at waypointrx.com, or shoot me a text, 843-873-4420. That's our office line. That you can text that or call that. Joe, I bet you didn't know you could text a landline now.
I do now, yeah.
You do now. How about that, man? Technology. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, we'd love to talk to you. And we appreciate y'all listening, and we look forward to continue to bring you this great, hopefully entertaining, Joe. Hopefully nobody's sleeping. If you're sleeping out there, or if the guy driving is sleeping.
Hey, let's tell him now that we're buying dinner.
Exactly. Tap that guy and wake him up so he can drive with his eyes open. So thank you all again, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Take care, guys.
Interested in learning more about maximizing your income and living a financially free lifestyle? Contact the Income Outcomes Show today to learn more about your financial possibilities and best practices in managing your money to create opportunities for lasting wealth. Go to pharmacypodcast.com under the contact section and send us a message, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Thanks for listening to the Income Outcomes Show, a podcast publication part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network.